grid. So, you know, an extra 300 gold in stats is really nice for a champ who does, you know, skirmish against these, you know, triple AD carry comps. We see the Na, the Corki, and the Kai'Sa. The extra bit of armor could really come in clutch, but the 5-man level 1 game 4, Skimmy.
Dun, 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 dun. Who's going to face check? That is the question. They fully are aware of this one. They're going to Foreigner, Flash, Pog, take him down. He gets the fight from the afterlife and hit them with the Skittles from afar. Counter-Strike to shred off all of that damage. And another game with a level 1 with Foreigner falling down.
This time, very strange, because Foreigner has the ability to check these bushes with the Skittles, but, you know, he throws the skill out, but he keeps walking towards the bush, and Aldork straight away, Q flash, finds the Karthus, and he dies in that CC chain, even though there was the hook trade back from Dracu. Just a really nice Counter-Strike by to disengage that one, and that will be the first blood going over to the side of Bliss.
Well, there you have it. There you have it indeed. Lane swaps potentially still in the air. As you can see, both Violet and Aldork are making their way towards the top half of the map. And what I've been really impressed with is that every single game we have had level 1 action. Never usually happens during the regular season. You maybe start to see it during the initial rounds of the playoffs. But once we get deep into best of 5 territory, every game.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised to see the lane swap this game, right? Because you would think that, you know, this is quite favorable matchups for both sides of these you know, side laners from each comp. But this is the lane swap happening. There is the double jungle happening. So Kevy, with that extra longsword, going to be clearing his jungle even fast with, you know, the extra Biopanther in his inventory right now. So we'll be speeding through this one, and you know, Foreigner will fall a bit behind in terms of clear speed. But the advantage here for Antic is the fact that Zoranus, you know, might be able to pick up some experience on the top lane if he isn't zoned too far away, because Alistair, no flash, no combo at level 1, can't really, you know, zone him as best he can. It's only going to be Violet with those auto attacks and the Mystic Shots.
The Mystic Shots, the auto attacks, the level 2 there to try and complement it even further with a little bit of flux on top. But he's going to be able to try and utilize that boomerang to chip away, snipe some of those minions, and at least get a bit of experience. In comes Dracu then, just out of range of turret as the Ignite gets popped very early on by Aldork to make sure that Zoranus has little to no HP at all. But he's going to be relying on that Doran's, and as well as that fleet footwork. Even in the mid lane, you can see very heavy trading.
Yeah, and good read by Dracu to go up to the top side and make sure he is here to help his, you know, top laner. They're both level 1 though, so, you know, the weak thing about the Graves is these tower dives, right? You can play around the tower, and it's very hard to dive, and Dracu doing a really good job to play around this one. Gonna be level 2 soon. TP coming back in from Zoranus, so he's gonna be able to pick up this experience. And all of a sudden, this, you know, lane swap, actually, this is Ray's teleporting to the top lane, and Zoranus also walking back in, so maybe a bit of mistakes here, the fact that the TP was preemptive and not reactive to the tower dive. Fire's going to pick up this entire wave to himself on the bot side, and the solo laners from Antic were sharing experience.
Yeah, they certainly were, and that's a big wave that's going to be pushed in here by Harry. That's going to assumingly be denied and missed out that Raze would have loved to have picked up. I mean, there was a lot of heavy trading that forced him to go back to base and maybe just bit the bullet a little bit too early, anticipating Bliss to do a bit more towards that top dive.
Yeah, and I gotta shout out Race here. You know, he's locked in my Corki skin, so it's nice to see.
So we're going to a game 5.
We're going to a game 5. You know,
did you have words with him about it?
I did not. Didn't even bring it up.
He just knows.
He's watched the VOD and he knows.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to see how he can fare on that regard. You know, no longer to be distracted by the Corgi. Even the observers didn't want to bring attention to it like we have in the past. They said, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Enough is enough. And just, you know, match clearing on both sides. This is, you know, Kevy did go to the top side for that, you know, dive potential. Had a bit of downtime. All of a sudden, we see Foreigner already back on the map, item in his inventory, ready to go for that full clear again. And Kevy only basing now, might be caught off guard.
Let's see if anything comes of it. Hex Flash is going to be used to try and get himself into the bush to make sure that Aldork runs this lane. Foreigner going to pop his head into top lane and just really help Zoranus out. I don't think this is really a gank, more so just push this wave in. Let's allow the Snar to go back to base and utilize that TP.
Yep, just helping his top lane to get the reset off, and Zoranus can use that TP, you know, if he wants to get back to lane to maintain the priority, or can just walk back to lane and hold that one until he gets a better buy and then use that TP later on. But just going to be the full clearing happening again from the junglers. But, you know, Raze is the main sufferer, right, of this early game, because he used that TP to the top side rather than back to his own lane. So Harry does find that window to, you know, get some priority, and this is where Ori shines, when she gets the priority and she can start throwing that, you know, QW harass under tower, because it's so hard to deal with as he chance with no harass in return. But we're seeing the group up now. All of a sudden, Dracu walking in.
Yeah, both supports looking to try and make a play towards the mid lane. A lot of pressure, obviously going towards Raze, and he needs to get a gel free card. But with Kevy being here too, Harry having first move, Raze unable to help, and Frona just there to watch on through. It's Kevy that says, well, I got the first blood, I'll get the second blood. And look, Graves might just be the answer for the series.
Yeah, just a bit of a disconnection there between Antic. You know, Dracu had the right idea, walking to try and protect his camps, but Foreigner just not there on time because, you know, Bliss are punishing the fact that Foreigner walked for that top side instead of, you know, straight to his camps and clearing down, but loses the chickens, loses another kill onto Kevy, and all of a sudden this Graves, who, you know, doesn't really have the same early pressure as the Scarthus does in terms of clear speed and, you know, damage, is suddenly coming online and getting towards that first lethality item as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Has been given a lot of helping hands, though, right? Biopanther to get him through the initial first few camps. The protection of Aladoric to enable that kill just to be found beforehand. And also Harry having first move. I mean, how often do you see an AD carry matchup into a mage where the mage is actually winning? He's able to really dictate the terms in which they do trade and just spam dissonance off cooldown. Yeah,
this is just thanks to what happened early game, right? He got a bit of a breath because, you know, we did get a view in on what happened earlier, and it was just Raze just dominating that lane in the early game. He did use that priority he had to TP to the top side, and that cost him his early game advantage. All of a sudden, the lane state is back to even now, and we are seeing the group up happening. They know Kevy is on these grubs, but so far we aren't seeing the movement from the mid lane yet.
Yeah, Foreigner just acting like a human ward right now, looking to try and deny whatever he can with potential smite steal to safety. Not to be found just yet. One has already gone the way of Bliss, looking at that second grub as both junglers contest it, and everybody being drawn away from their respective lanes. No solo laners are here. There is that flash pounce shockwave combo, and instantly Foreigner is removed.
And just removes as easy as that. This is the strength of like the level advantage, right? Orianna is that level up. Shockwave is an ulti in these skirmishes, whereas, you know, Corki rockets are not, but Antic are still looking to fight this.
They certainly are looking for something more than just that, and they say, you know what, here comes Destiny, Killer Instinct into the backline. They don't want to settle for one kill tally, they want to get more. Flash for flash for flash, and
the
not
shield.
Enough in the end, and Harry really, really lucky.
Yeah, didn't keep track of Destiny rotating up there. Doesn't have any mana though, so it looks like he is going to push that mid wave and go for the reset, whilst Raze is going to rotate down to the bot side and catch this wave. So this is really nice for Raze in particular. Gets that kill, is going to be able to eat up these two waves. This will be a plate going over to Violet and the three grubs going to the side of Team Bliss, but it's not such a bad situation based on what we saw in the initial engage from Aladoric.
Absolutely. Picks up the cannon, picks up all that wave, and feels a little bit better about missing out on that play earlier on in the mid 1v1. But absolutely fighting back, 8 minutes in, already a 1k lead in favor of Bliss. You were quite concerned, right? If Kevy continued at the pace he was on, Eclipse comes out, or some form of lethality is there to complement it, and he really does then run the show. But that champion has been put down before champion bounty can even become a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. He is still fine, right? He did fall down, but he is online. He is ahead of items when it comes to these duelish, and especially paired up with Aladoric. All he needs is Aladoric to land his combo, and he does so much damage, you know, when he can line up that Q for the bounce back. Plate going to Harry just thanks to, you know, the tempo mismatch of Antic right now, and the Dragon will be going towards them as well. So we are seeing a team getting both objectives in the early game rather than a trade scheme, and this is the first time this series.
That's exactly right. It's been very far and few between where a team can dominate the entire Rift's objectives as opposed to just continually make those one-for-one trades. This should bode pretty well for Team Bliss, and certainly they've scaled into the series, you would say, whereas Antic really won the front foot, but have been pushed back just a fraction now.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Bliss have drafted this you know, early game, but also late game comp. This is what we wanted from them at the beginning of the series, and they have, you know, covered all points of that. You know, we were worried about the fact they did have that edge, or they didn't have that crit scaling 80 carry, but like, all right, I'll do it myself. Kevy locks in the Graves. Most likely you're going to go for the lethality into the crit variation that we do see, you know, with the Collector and the LDR. Both, you know, building out of crit items now, so it's really nice for Graves in particular. Is a really squishy champion though, so you have to be careful that, you know, if that dredge line does land on him, he will not be living.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can dash, you can get the grip, but it might not be enough if the hook lands. The pick potential is there for both support players. Really is going to allow them to set the team up for success. You'd imagine the Yomu's Ghostblade not too far away, then it's being completed. That extra mobility there to match the Karthus. And I sort of do wonder if the pace continues in this direction, right? Because right now, Kevy is ahead in terms of the camp clear, and with those kills on top of it, it's really made sure that your solo AP Karthus has to rely upon maybe a little bit more mixed damage from these other carries.
Yeah, it definitely will, but we shouldn't expect to see too much magic just come out of the side of Bliss, just because they need to, you know, respect the amount of AD answers that are on the side of Antic. They're trying to punish Harry's Splash here, but there is no gank set up, right? And he does have that face rush, so it's so easy for him to get out of there. Something to note, though, is the fact that Aladoric is, you know, 60 to 70% towards that level 6 with the grub spawning in 45 seconds, whereas we just saw Dracu ding 5 in bot lane. So not going to be any, you know, ults for him at this next dragon, next grub fight, but Kevy so strong, so happy to dash over these walls and just, create some advantages for himself to really secure these grubs in 30 seconds.
And that's the perfect terrain to, be aggressive against, right? The instant knockback of that collateral damage, really hoping that it would have stuck around a little bit longer for the ball delivery system to land that shockwave to get that isolated kill. They're still going to pursue a potential second attempt onto Foreigner. But that's going to fizzle out very, very quickly as Antic say, you know what, we feel inspired enough now that we can make our move towards this Dragon Pit, or rather this Grub Pit ourselves. And with Destiny now having the static shiv, mid lane control becomes a little bit easier to ascertain.
Maybe there's a bit of an over-rotation from Destiny, has showed on midway while, Violet's just sitting in bot, happy to hit these towers, happy to do, free time with these plates. And we've seen so many times this is what Violet loves. He's like, all right, guys, you want to all group up? I'm just going to sit bot and get all this gold, all this, experience to myself. Where we see 5 members from Antic group up, and they're not even going to get these grubs, Skimmy.
They managed to pick up 2, but it might not be the third that they can find. Team Bliss will look to try and put a bit of contest for this one, but it will be a 5v4, still favoring that of Antic, as that grub is being taken on a merry, merry journey. Going to reset in the end and actually force Raze to answer back.
They do deny the 5 grubs from Bliss, and there is experience going with the forest, so best of the worst case, even though for Antic, because Bliss is winning this early game quite significantly, they do have priority in pretty much all their lanes, and they will win these skirmishes. But Raze looking aggressively on the bot lane. There is double summons for Violet here.
Oh, he's hunting for it. He needs a flash. He doesn't have it. Barry's there to commit. And out comes the Requiem. Barrier times out. Requiem plays cleanup crew, and really well done there by Raze to be aggressive and to find some way to stabilize this early game.
That's the classic, I forgot they had a Karthus on the enemy team. It's giving me the classic, I've been playing my 2v2 in bot lane for so long, you just forgot what was going on for the rest of the map, because, Violet is sort of playing that lock camera gameplay on the boss side of the map. He's just been pushing his waves and hitting the tower, hasn't really rotated to anything that's happening on the map, whereas we've seen Destiny constantly looking for these fights. But Kevy is looking for that fight onto Raze on the bot side. Does have the tabbies.
And let's see if he can get out of this one. Flash is up and available right now, but he does enough damage to say, Kevy, stop trying to take the 1v1 into me. So Raze is holding it down in the bot lane, which is a great strength of, or great point of strength rather, for Antic to now rely upon. And obviously we've seen history-wise, Violet loves to push out those waves and likes to be greedy when objectives are taking place topside. Raze also a bit of a merchant for that kind of gameplay too, so both feeling very at ease.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all 5 players this game are feeling quite at ease. Foreigner even did fall down in that early game twice. Has his item, will be able to scale into this game, and all he has to really do is throw out that wall of pain and make sure it hits this Graves and slows him down, because he is so low range, and it is so hard for him to walk into the enemy team and do damage. He needs the enabling, or he needs Zonas to jump in to give Kevy something to hit. So I think that based on this game state right now, both teams are quite happy, but looking at the Antic inventory right now, there's 3 completed items for the carries. Whereas, there's still components being built from the other side, and then a flash forward from Violet.
Yeah, that was very aggressive, but double summoners being burnt by Destiny to respond to that one, so both these 80 carries going to be worse for wear as a result of that, and mid lane becomes very, very sketchy to hang around on, especially when they're both critically low on HP and really asking, where is my babysitter, where is my support?
Yeah, just 4 sums being traded, or 3 sums being traded there in mid lane. Violet didn't have his own barrier in return, but the aggression is still happening for Violet there. Does not care that he doesn't have the, the barrier. Does not care that his team isn't there to back him up. He's still going to play aggressive, even though this is game 4, and this is everything on the line for his team right now.
This is everything on the line, because this will give Bliss that match point win, GG, wrap it up now, and don't really put it all down to icy anxiety emotion in a game 5. Because that's exactly what Antic are hoping for. This is their chance to make it 2 from 2, the perfect split for them in terms of ruining the party of Bliss, and making it back to Taiwan in successive splits. But Team Bliss still in the driving seat, still in control, still running the map with 2 Drakes, 4 Grubs, and now seemingly working their way towards a Herald.
Yeah, but Antic are also looking to fight here, matching the teleport. No Narbar on Zoranus right now, so it's a dicey one, Skimmy.
It is a dicey one. Raze gets jumped upon there by Biopanther. Valkyrie away to safety. And in jumps Dracu, then looking for the depth charge onto Harry. Finds the hook. Nice flash by Aladoric. Body blocking that one, says you will not touch him. Buying time for the shockwave, and that is picture perfect. Look at that one. Drew them all into a close combat situation. 2-man shockwave. True shot barrage on top of that. And there's no answering back that for Antic.
Yeah, this is just, a bad read, I would say, Skimmy, on how these team fights really should be happening. There isn't that dive threat coming out of Antic yet. Destiny's going to be that major threat, and Zoranus with those flanks, and Dracu flashing forward onto Harry there is such a big error for himself, because who's going to follow that up, right? Who's going to go in? Because all 5 members of their raid appeal for Harry, and the fact that Aladoric just flashes to block that hook, and Kevy and, Violet are ready to deal damage on the ramp wall really denies any follow-up, and this is just a good, good positioning overall from Bliss to really split up this fight and make sure that they aren't clumped up, they aren't getting that front to back, and they aren't getting outranged.
It's just so awkward. We'll see it once again whilst the threat is gone on Harry. It's a simple case of command attack. You've got to walk into this chokehold and, well, GG. We're like, what do? You walk back into the river and lose to the bruiser, or step up and cop a shockwave to the head. So, yeah, they'll find themselves the Herald, they'll find themselves the team fight kill, and they'll find themselves in a pretty content position.
Yeah, this is why the concern comes forward with how strong this LSI has been the entire series. Aladoric doesn't have to go in. He can just play that, blocker for his team. He can peel. He can, he can also play for those dives when he has an advantage. But Dracu, the dredge line means he goes in and there is no way out. But Zoranis getting caught on the top side, but he does have the Mega this time.
That he certainly does. Well, they look to try and go for the combo. Shockwave is there. Snap back in. Kevy looking for the collateral damage, but it's on cooldown, unfortunately. 5 seconds away. That could have been lethal, but the window has passed them by.
That is just Mega Nara pretty much. He's so tanky. He doesn't decide to throw the Nara onto Kevy, who was in tower range, was tanking the tower there, wants to make sure that he lives and gets out of there. And that will be that turret being picked up by the, the jungle mid of Bliss right now on the side lane. And the score lead continues to grow.
Yeah, Aladoric is hovering just for good measure, making sure that there's no ganking squad from Antic here to try and save the day. But as it stands, it is all things Bliss right now. Top 3 is all to do with them. Ray's keeping pace with at least Violet, but there's a bit of a drop-off afterwards.
Yeah, the main Goldies right now, obviously between the AD carriers and the junglers, but I think the item spikes are more important. We need to see the Kai'Sa get towards the 2 items. We need to see the Karthus get towards the 2 items, and that level 11 is also particularly important before these next objectives start to spawn. It's quite a time away, over a minute and a half, but without any of these cans being up, there's no real place to gather experience, gather gold for these members, and we might just see a potential objective dip for the side of Antic.
Might be the case. Still a bit of time away until that comes about. But Zoranis continues to be looked at. They say you ban away the Cassante, you lock in that Gnar, will make you get punished for that. Gonna face check Kevy, entertain it, miss the stun, pop the ult, run away again, and leap to safety in the end, making sure that Aladoric doesn't get that perfect flank, and that they have to keep hunting.
Do you see, once again, the 1v1's happening on mid-wave. Destiny should feel quite comfortable. The only problem is he cannot all-in onto Violet, right? Violet can always play his range, but if he all-ins onto Violet, he has to be concerned about where the rest of the members are for their cleanup. So just going to see the trading of waves happening. But Harry using that side priority to come in, and all of a sudden they can start sieging this one because the wave play just really isn't there. The Corki is not here, and it's just going to be, the Karthus Wall of Pain, the Skittles, and all of a sudden if this shockwave lands onto these squishy members, the follow-up is there, Skinny.
There certainly is. Aladoric, he's going to jump on in. He recognized that Draco hit the hook onto the minions, so he's just sitting dark and an easy picking for them. Tower is to fall on down. Ultimate gets popped. The Alistair is so tanky, and they get corralled into a position where the shockwave can land onto 2, and that alone is enough to say, go back and bypass it. All the while is the biggest winner of them all.
Yeah, and it's just so hard for Draco to do anything in these fights. He's constantly being found out. Zoranis is looking for that collapse onto Biopanther, but he's just such a, easy champ to walk out of there. Double auto attack based champions, just going to be able to walk away from that one, and the dragon is spawning in under 15 seconds now, Skinny. That's going to be the infernal soul point going towards the side of Team Bliss.
And it certainly will be. Probably a perfect soul, all things considered. If you want extra damage, if you got the combo with a shockwave, you want to make sure it absolutely dazzles. Kevy, a little bit of a ring around the rosy in the enemy side of the jungle, forces out a flash, even with Aladoric there to back him up, taking no chances whatsoever.
They do not commit and kill Kevy. That was their one window. They do not have the vision to be able to see the rest of the team. But that we know as the spectators, that was the one window for Antic to take down Kevy on this Graves right there. But walks out that one with his splash. Will pick up the dragon, and there is no trade coming out of Antic right now. All they have is the priority on the side lane, but this gold lead and these objective leads just continue to grow.
They certainly do, and this feels like maybe the most favoured game for Bliss all series long, right? We talked about how they've been ramping up slowly into the series. They've adapted their draft, they've adapted their playstyle, they've picked up the Ezreal, and whilst that's not being an issue so far, you are wondering if this game is still on that crash course of going the distance, of going 40 minutes, because it feels so accelerated compared to what we've seen so far.
It's definitely a tough one to call, Skimmy. There is, the items are there in the team of Bliss's inventory. They have everything they need. This is such a tanky control mage in Harry in the mid lane, but at the same time, he does so much damage because there is no tankiness coming out of Antic right now. Draco, who should be that main frontline for their team, is paper. He's blowing up in a lot of these fights, just in the Alster combo, doesn't get out of that one, and then we see that this Ezreal, who is the champ who hasn't really had much success in any of these games, is doing a lot of damage without these major power spikes yet.
It certainly would feel pretty good for Harry, who once upon a time reached an Oceanic final, was into Legacy. You were part of that roster actually back then as well, and fell victim to a 3-1 defeat all the way back in 2020. So to lane up against Raze and to hopefully find yourself in a winning position would feel pretty damn good. That would be his second final. For Kevy, he's always made the finals as long as Bypepper has been his teammate. And I'll be hoping that a lot of this isn't just a coincidence and actually a real factor.
Yeah, it would be really nice to, continue that legacy of making all these finals back to back to back. We talk about Eldork as well being another player who just always makes finals when he is playing, and Raze, a player who's not missed finals for so long, Skimmy. So this game, nothing is really happening, right? It's just a 2,000 gold lead. A lot of farming, a lot of objective securing to happen, but in 3 minutes, all of a sudden, this is that soul point for Blizz, and this is the Infernal Soul. With how much damage they have and how squishy Antic is, can absolutely blow the game out of the water.
No, they certainly can. And how crazy is it if you were to put it into context to say to people, Raze has made finals for 5 years in a row, they'd be like, what? It's just that good. But Baron has been started. It's 21 minutes into this one, and they're going to do it fully on vision. Antic are aware, but do they feel good enough to answer back?
It is dying extremely fast, Skimmy, and Foreigner quite far away. They are pulling off of it, but Antic haven't really recognized that. TP's coming forward, and watch the Aladoric flash.
Aladoric is going to go in for that pounce upon Draku. Bypepper on the flank, looking down Raze. He doesn't burn the flash. The dagger is already used. Draku flashes out to safety. Shockwave onto free is absolutely devastating. And Foreigner is wiped from the board. He summons the Requiem. He's going to find one. He's going to tickle down a second. And he does pick up the double kill. He's doing the most damage right now. And they have salvaged the play beyond belief.
What a shockwave from Harry. He has the Seraphs and the Zhongyun, so he's playing that frontline carry, doing so much there, but, Destiny doesn't find the angle with the killer instinct to dive onto the backline and clean these members up, and, doesn't have the 2-arm pass spike yet, but the fact that this team fight went, even down the middle, I think was the mistake of the Bliss engage. As we do see in the replay, they engage onto Draco here. In the past, he's been an easy pickup, but this time creates so much space, and the fact that Fire doesn't even find that Counter-Strike stun onto the crucial members. Without this shockwave, I think the fact that Foreigner is playing with this wall here could have swung this fight around really fast, because Zoranus would have absolutely been unleashed onto this backline with Destiny in his pocket.
He certainly would have been seen violent on the tail end there, looking to try and snipe somebody away. And look, I want to almost coin it the Kurak effect. Like, Draku just survives. How? We'll never quite know. A flash into what could have been a shockwave. That would have been a really easy pickup for a quadra kill. But yeah, there you have it. 2K is still going to pertain in Team Bliss's favor. The Baron has been stopped. That is the crucial thing. But time is going against them. 90 seconds and counting, and there is a soul point to pick up, but not anymore. Kevy's gone. Down for 40, and this might be the swing point.
2 items on Kaiser, 2 items on Na, the building towards the 3 items on the Corki, 2 items on Karthus. The jungler is dead. This is their time to start the Baron and, flip that game, accelerate as much as possible, because this Infernal Soul is spawning in a minute, and they need a lead to be able to take this one considerably, Skimmy.
That they certainly do. There's no smite. Can they win the fight as a result? The hook goes out. Alador locks in place. Instantly he pops that ultimate to become as tanky as he can be. Turns the aggression around. On towards Foreigner. The shockwave single-handedly removing him down to 10%. Bypepper being collapsed upon by the double 80 carry threat, but Violet given all the time in the world to walk with his teammate. So Bio takes down Destiny with him to the grave, and that Baron again gets denied.
And what a disaster for Antic, the split focus. Draku going back in when no one is there on his team to follow up any of that CC that he is outputting, and the fact that, once again, Foreigner is just getting engaged on by Aladoric. The shockwave goes onto him. He lives this time, but doesn't have the ulti, doesn't have the damage to output. And Bio doing so much damage in the backline, 1v2ing these AD carries and finding the kill onto Destiny is such a big deal for this team, and probably means they will get this Infernal Soul now.
So he seems to be that way. Bliss has done such a phenomenal job in a 4v5 to split up the fight, cause that chaos, and distract Antic away from the ultimate prize, which is, please don't take that Baron, because that is your way back into this game. Still 2K in their favor, still hunting at the next objective, and still forcing Antic to play reactively.
Destiny does have the kill instinct, so he can get in range for the ulti, but the fact Foreigner does not have this flash, and he cannot walk past this choke to steal this one. If they zone him correctly, it is so hard for him to get forward, so he pretty much just has to commit, all the way into the pit, and hopefully he can get in range of this dragon.
That's what we tried to do, and Draco tried to make it a little bit easier for him. The shockwave there was the zoning tool, wasn't enough in the end. It's going to be taken there by Kevy. Out comes the Requiem one more time, flashes out the safety, denies that one, but both junglers are now dead as a result of their 2 crucial ultimates, and whilst Bliss are bleeding, Antic are hunting.
Yeah, and once we see the Infernal Soul going over to Kevy, Foreigner is dead, cannot smite that one away when he's in the passive, and once again we just see the the decision making of Bliss just being superior here, but they're going forward from Raze.
And they certainly are. Alidoric jumps in once again, reckless abandon says, if you focus me, you won't go for my teammates instead. And he's done that all series long. Really is the perfect support teammate.
This game is on a knife's edge, Skimmy. The Infernal Soul is picked up by Bliss, but the items, the strength of the carries from Antic is still there. Zoranus on this Gnar. Every single game this champion has been having so much impact, either on Bio or Zoranus. And
oh my god! That would have been the most confusing kill for Violet to pick up, like, how did I get that?
The flash and barrier being put out there by Destiny, so, good thing that he saw that one, because that was a panic reaction, obviously, right? And is going to go to the recall, is going to spend his money, and hopefully does have that Nasher pickup, because if this Kai'Sa is able to start poking enemy, now they have this response in the range department, and now they can finally start matching up the setup from this team, because the Infernal Soul is such a big deal for champs like the Ezreal, Ori, and the Graves, all extremely high DPS champions who with this extra burst damage can blow up the enemy members on Antic.
Yeah, there is no retaliation from Antic if the one shot comes to fruition, right? The combo has come in many different variations. It sometimes is the delivery ball system of an Alistair or a Graves jumping in, or sometimes it's just a Shockwave and True Shot barrage overlapping flawlessly, synchronized to a T, and wiping out any consideration from Antic in response. I am just very curious, though, whether or not Bliss recognized the fact that Destiny had to burn those double summoners. It would be pretty bizarre, I suppose, for them to actually pan the camera over on that direction, but that's going to really hurt them in this upcoming fight.
Well, I think they probably would have seen, the Ezreal does give the vision as it flies past, but, Violet was aiming that one towards the red buff, right? So, assumedly that was a planned ulti, and they do recognize that Destiny doesn't have the summoners here. Alidoric flashes online, ball on top of his head. They can find that one shot. Those third items haven't come through, the rapid fire for Corki, the Nashes for the Kai'Sa, and the Baron has been started.
And certainly has the Baron dance again and again and again. That is the ultimate prize that these teams are hunting for, the buff that could give them that perfect siege that they've been hoping for. Infernal Soul is there. It's a 1k lead. It's incredibly fragile. The poke is so frustrating. Zoranus is already going to get his Hysterics popped. And he might have a very quick ticket back to base as he hopes that they don't start the Baron again without him.
Yeah, Kevy going for the recall, so he probably has an item in his inventory that he wants to complete right now. Third item completed in the Collector, so now he's starting to come online, starting to build some of that crit. Did go for that Cleaver to have a bit more health in his team fights so he doesn't just fall over to the AoE and the DPS coming out of this team. But the 3 items are starting to come forward for each team, and there is no clear advantage in terms of, side being stronger or the scaling happening right now, Skimmy, because it's really going to come down to execution. And so far, we've seen Alidoric on this Alistair be the one to really come in clutch for his team.
Be a bit of a difference maker, absolutely. You talk about some of the item spikes. Raze has now picked up the rapid fire cannon. That could be a big deal as well to try and break up the differences and having to group up into that shockwave. They are definitely sneaking this one, and Alidoric will have to plant another ward across the wall and go, hang on a minute, hey, what is going on here? He just flashes, he doesn't care, he jumps in, the Baron's gone, picked up by Foreigner, smite successfully, Draku really preventing any kind of wraparound effect that Violet and Kevy were hoping to achieve, and now Antic scurry, frantically rush to their bot lane towers, or their top lane towers rather, and they're out.
And they've got away with murder. They've caught Bliss off guard, off tempo. Kevin was piling bot towards that crab. They just start the Baron. They recognize, okay, there's no wooden pit. Let's just flip this one. And all of a sudden, they have this Baron buff and they have a bridge towards this Elder Skimmy. 2 minutes until that one spawns, but Foreigner with the Zhonya's, can he live?
Really good Zhonya's, but it's not enough in the end. He denies so much, but Zoranus with a fantastic TPing flank. In goes the Requiem. Here he goes. Golden denies all that as he comes out of that one. The Seraph gets popped and he's dead as well. Double kill found here from Destiny. He's pushing forward, going forward and forward and forward. The double AD carry setup. The boys are back in town and they are getting it done with Baron online.
They have 1 minion, Skimmy. The wave is coming down mid. These timers are long. This is 30 seconds. Can they take these towers and end this one? I think their buyer might be able to buy enough time, but this is going to be a close one. They probably do not want to go for the end just because they do not have... I think if they had a melee minion, Skimmy, and they had the ability to tank this tower, this could have been a game end potential for Antic. But the fact there is no wave, probably just going to see, them split up and create advantage. They should go for this reset before this next Elder fight, spend that gold, use this Baron buff, and try to, win this next objective. Because all of a sudden, no Ori flash, no Alistair flash. That was such a huge turnaround for Antic.
Massive turnaround, and actually has swung the gold difference in Antic's favor now as a result of that one, right? So all 3 lanes are going to be looked at, all going to be pushed on out. Everybody grouping up for the Elder in 60 seconds.
And here we go into the replay. Shockwave and, you know, a lot of clones being burnt onto Foreigner here, but the Zonia's bought so much time. And look at Raze returning damage here. Level 16 Corki, big one. 3 members. The Hook, the Dredge line, the ult doing so much disruption to that team. Harry using Flash as well after the Zonia's caught out a TP flames from Zoranus. This is just the collapse coming out of Antic, and the fact that, you know, this Carthus was shut down in the early game, Skinny, but he's picking up all the kills in these fights and all this assists. His inventory is starting to, you know, represent that now.
He certainly is. A very different story to how he performed on the Zyra last game, right? And this is really going down to the wire. This is all what it takes now with Antic able to finally play proactively. They've been playing to the tune of Bliss all 30 minutes,
Harry.
but now they're going to jump in one more time. Dragon started off. Harry's locked down. He's dead with no flash. There is no chance to hit that shockwave now. Aladoric with the ultimate, zoning and retreating with Violet that jumps in and just hits the shutdown. Flashes out of that hook, continues to peel and poke from afar, and Biopanther got zoned into the top half of the river, but Elder is there, and they need to mount an assault.
And what a monstrous mistake from both Harry and Destiny. But, you know, that ult is going to come out of Foreigner, try and do some poke. There is some sustain coming out of the kit. They are going to start this one out. You know, Raze is trying to find Aladoric on the backside, poke him out of this one, but this is a 4v4 objective. Both smites are here, Skinny.
This is incredibly dicey. This is so sketchy for either side right now. Team Bliss pushed out the mid wave, put some pressure passively in their regard. Aladoric primed and ready to go with a Hex Slash across the wall. The Elder down to 4,000. Not in smite range just yet.
in 5 seconds.
If he dies, it doesn't really matter. They jump in and it gets stolen by Kevy. I do not believe it. Raze is forced to peel away. Violet, he's got himself that kill, and Raze is stuck between a rock and a hard place, surrounded by free. Can he take anybody to the grave with him? No, just popped in the end. 3 casualties just for Aladoric.
Absolute cinema, Skivvy. What are we seeing here? And the potential game end coming for Bliss. They're going to push down on this bot wave. They have the Elder. They have 4 players strong. Violet can heal back up off this wave. And, you know, there is no wave clear coming out of this team right now. 20 seconds on the card. There's 35 seconds on the Corki. Do they have enough time? Can they buy enough time?
Can they buy enough time? It all comes down to Destiny. Not the most range, not the most wave clear. He really has to rely on himself as well as Zoranus to try and get this one done. How confident are Bliss then to close out this game? Do they believe that's enough? And they'll say, we'll take one inhibitor, but we're not taking any chances if this has become a game of throws.
Yeah, and they do not feel too confident going for that one because this game is so intense. It's on a knife's edge, Jimmy. This is really anyone's game, but they felt pressure to flip this one because there's the teleport coming out of Harry really soon, and if they get caught in a position where he can flank, it slides out for them. So, you know, they do go down to the wire, and we do get to see how much health is one. It goes down to 600 health, and that's that smite skill by Kevy. Being in these positions much more often than, you know, Foreigner, and this is going to be the veterancy, and that smite skill by Kevy is the difference right now, Skimmy.
It is the difference, it really is, because it flip-flops the gold lead back and forward and back and forth, and back now in Bliss's favor yet again. And Aladoric with his flash up and available, same for Harry. And they've just picked up the locket, really there to neutralize the Carthus that much more. Armguard to be picked up by Destiny, so he's got a stasis effect. And this feels like the fight of all fights. We've had so many of these buffs being cycled this entire series. Feels like as the Elder expires, it might just be the Baron that seals the final deal.
And now all of a sudden, Kevy has the 4 items in his inventory. He is so tanky. He does so much damage. You know, he can always dash onto the enemy team, especially with the Ori shield on top of him. All the extra resistances he is gaining from his grit and the, you know, the Orianna passive to tank him up. Have to see how much, you know, they can really trade here because, you know, whereas there's no Baron buff and Corki does have really good wave clear, this Baron is spawning in 45 seconds, and I believe the Elder buff will still be alive for that one.
Dicey times here, Tally. Lack of a better word, really, for that one, but this is tension like you would not believe. And I think it really is going to favor the players that have the more veteran experience, right? The ability to hold your nerve and not really engage too much in the chaos that is pursuing. It really is, you know, Antic needing to hunker down, lock inside your base, not give away any cheap kills, and gear up for that next big one.
Yeah, it is really going to come down to the veteran experience and the setup around these objectives. It's all about holding your nerve, you know, not overextending, because all members are fed, Skimmy. Everyone has the items. Everyone is on the, you know, pretty much on the clock when it comes to the DPS need to be outputting at this point in the game. But the Elder is down. This is now just the Infernal Soul on the side of Bliss, but also the standoff. The Baron is up. This is going to come down to another team fight, and since we are at that 35-minute mark in the game, could be the decider.
It is that standoff, it is that passive pressure in the bot lane with Supers there to assist. It is that flash engage from Aladoric, and Rage just gone in an instant. There is the stopwatch, and there is Foreigner, not long for the world thereafter. Nice 2 kills, very easily done, and a Requiem that gets completely neutralized by a Locket.
does no damage. There is just way too much, base resistances coming out right now. Foreigners does not have the inventory to be doing any impact, but Raze doesn't have flash. Uses the Valkyrie, and all of a sudden Aladoric Tracy's flash finds him out, and that will be the Baron going to the side of the Bliss, and that will be the potential to start sieging. But we're still not seeing that big game-ending fight happening yet, Skimmy.
Not yet. Not yet. But all I do is pay attention to Raze's camera, and it is just a ball of stress. So absorbed in the moment right now.
Jesus.
Really trying to rally the troops.
Look at their hair. You can really tell the story of what's going on based on where his hair is. They are going for the siege. Still 10 seconds left on those timers for Karthus and Corki. They're walking onto this. This is going to be the first tower going down, Skimmy. Second soon to follow. It's looking scary.
It is looking very scary as the base they go. Waiting for 2 more seconds and Raze is up and dies. Can they try and clutch this one? Destiny jumps in there with a killer instinct, looking to try and find some kills. Raze is there. Valkyrie into backline. Removes Violet. Really well done. That's 1 for 1 so far. Can they find another kill to try and turn this one around inside their own base? They've lost 2 inhibitors. They might lose the series. They might lose their tickets to Taiwan. Unless the boys and Raze and Destiny have something left to say. 4 members and a dream. Fire Panther with the flash counter-strike saying, not today, boys. We want to go to PCS, and we will do that.
2 players, 9 titles, trying to defend that Nexus, Skimmy, and it just wasn't enough. Bio comes in, the double stun onto the members, Harry looking ecstatic in his player camera, and we will not be going to that Game 5. We'll be going for the Bliss, straight to the PCS, straight to the finals against Ground Zero on Monday, and what a comeback for this team.
No split 1 deja vu today, no 5-game banger, a real case of Bliss. They've leveled up, they got better every single game in this series, and in those clutch moments they were decisive enough to pick you apart. A flash engage from the Alistar, a flash engage from the Jax. Just the cohesive nature and the ability to say,